So today's topic of discussion is going to be the DNA replication mechanism. And we have started this yesterday, the basics we have started. So when we say DNA replication, we are making copies of the DNA. And when we have to make copy of the DNA, we need certain components. And one of the major component is the enzyme that is responsible, and that is going to be the DNA dependent DNA polymerase. This is the entire name, DNA dependent DNA polymerase. Now, why do we call it DNA dependent? Because this DNA polymerase, as the name suggests, DNA polymerase is going to polymerize new strand of DNA. When it is going to polymerize new strand of DNA, there has to be certain base, right? And here the base is, or the template here is going to be the DNA. So it actually going to use a template DNA to polymerize the new strand of DNA. So that is why it is called DNA dependent DNA polymerase. And one more thing that you have to keep in mind that we talked yesterday, this particular enzyme, DNA dependent DNA polymerase, always polymerizes the new strand in the 5' to 3' direction. So always remember, the new strand is going to be formed in the 5' to 3' direction. Now, when we talk about the prokaryotes and eukaryotes, there are going to be different types of DNA polymerase. But again, we are not going to talk about that. For example, you have DNA polymerase 1, you have DNA pol 3, right, which are the main polymerase in case of prokaryotes. Then you have different type of polymerase in case of even eukaryotes. Just keep in mind that, let us not go into details, but basic idea here is DNA pol 1 and DNA pol 3 are the major polymerase enzyme when we talk about DNA polymerization or DNA replication in case of the prokaryotes. Now, we all know that in case of the bacteria, right? How many, can you tell me what is the number of base pairs that we have in case of E. coli, let's say? E. coli, what is the number of bacteria, number of base pairs? Anyone? What is the total number of base pairs?
4.6 into 10 to the power 6.
Very good, Mansi. So in E. coli, what we have is we have around 4.6 into 10 power 6 base pair. That is the total number of base pairs we have in case of E. coli. Now, for this entire DNA of the bacteria to be replicated, to make copies of itself, it takes, right, in case of E. coli, the replication gets over, so replication time here is around 18 minutes. So in 18 minutes, right, here what happens is the bacteria gets the life cycle completed in 20 minutes. So here the replication, right, it gets over in around 18 minutes or so. So if you calculate, what happens is the speed or the rate at which the polymerization take place, right? So here the rate of polymerization of what? Of the new DNA molecule, that turns out to be approximately 2000 bases or base pairs per second. So in 1 second, imagine this, in 1 second almost 2000 base pairs can be polymerized. And that's not fun, that's not a joke, because it is very fast. Now what happens is, we all again know that when there is going to be polymerization, when there is going to be DNA replication, when DNA is getting copied, there is going to be error, because this process is not 100% foolproof. This process creates certain variation, it creates certain error. And these error, because of this fast rate at which it is going to create the new base pairs, it is also going to create certain errors. And these errors, if it is going to retain, right, it is going to stay the error here, error in replication, what it will lead to? It will lead to a phenomenon that we all know by the name mutation. Right? All of you, I guess, know what mutations are. So mutation is going to be, occurring if there is going to be error in the replication that does not get rectified. So always what happens, the error here, whatever is going to be created due to the error here, because of polymerization, these errors are going to be rectified before it is passed on to the next generation, or before the entire process gets over. So this, with this in mind, let's continue and understand what are the, again, requirements for this entire process of DNA replication. Again, I said one is going to be the enzyme. Now the second one are the substrates. Now what are the substrates here? Anybody can tell me? Anyone can tell me what are the substrates here? Can you tell me what are the substrates? Substrates means what are getting used or what is going to be polymerized by the enzyme here. Enzyme is here. For the enzyme, what is the substrate? Anyone? Quickly. Yes or no? Do you, yes. Tell.
Yes, sir.
DNA, sir.
For the DNA, for the enzyme here, enzyme is what? DNA dependent. DNA polymerase. It is going to make the new DNA molecules. So what is substrate here? What the enzyme is going to be acting on?
Sir,
Any
new
idea?
DNA strand.
New DNA strand. Okay, so there is a word that we have already used, and that is called template DNA. So template DNA is what? Your old DNA strand, and based on it, we're creating the new strand. But what are you going to join together to get the new strand? We have to get a new strand, but what should be joined together? That is the question. What should be joined together? Think. What is the monomeric unit here? Deoxy. Anyone?
Nucleotide, sir.
Sorry, Ayushi. Yes, again, Ayushi.
Nucleotide, sir.
Okay, somewhere nearby that. So what happens is we have something called deoxyribonucleotide triphosphates. Okay, so here you have deoxyribonucleotide triphosphate, right? Or DNTPs. To give you an example, you have deoxyadenosine triphosphate, right? So deoxythymidine triphosphate, deoxyguanosine triphosphate, deoxycytosine triphosphates. Now these are what? These are the DNTPs that is going to act as a substrate, and also they provide energy, right? So this DNTP also, they're going to provide energy during the process, during the polymerization process. So the DNA polymerase is going to polymerize the deoxyribonucleotide triphosphates, and it is also going to take the energy for the process from the DNTPs. Now let us understand how it is going to be actually working here. So let me remove this part. So what actually we have in the nucleus is deoxyribonucleotide monophosphate. Okay, so we have this deoxyribonucleotide monophosphates, and to this what happens, we are going to add adenosine triphosphate. Now when we add this adenosine triphosphate, the process here is called phosphorylation. It is called phosphorylation, and then it is going to produce the deoxyribonucleotide triphosphates. And remember, this is going to be a very important step because we said that these substrate, they also provide energy that is essential for the process of polymerization. So in the nucleus, in the nucleoplasm, what we have is the deoxyribonucleotide monophosphate. By the phosphorylation process, with the help of pyrophosphatase enzyme, we are adding the ATP that is giving us deoxyribonucleotide triphosphates. So as I said, if I talk about the examples, we have deoxy. Okay, anyway, we'll talk about that examples later. So once you know about this, let us understand how the process is going to begin. So let us make the double stranded DNA. Okay, so we have the double stranded DNA here, and these are going to be having the base pairing. And let us name it 5 prime, 3 prime, and this is going to be 3 prime, 5 prime. Now what happens is we have the DNA double strand. When we have to make copies of itself, we have to first open it up. Why we need to open it up? Because DNA by itself cannot be accessed by the enzymes or DNA replication machineries. So to enable the DNA replication machineries to work, what we need is we need to open this particular structure. And when we say open it up, what happens actually is there is formation of replication fork. So the step one is going to be the formation of a replication fork. Let's see how it is going to happen. So here we have, and let's say, okay, so again we are going to have our bases here. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. So again we are going to have the 5 prime, 3 prime, 3 prime, 5 prime. So here this particular structure what you see is called a replication fork. This is a replication fork. So here the question is, what enables this DNA to actually open up? We all know that there are going to be coiling, there is super coiling actually. Along with that, we also have the hydrogen bond that is going to hold everything together. So there are certain enzymes that are working on this entire process to help actually. So one second. The enzymes that are essential is going to be two. That is going to be topoisomerase, okay, and helicase. Okay, so these are the two enzymes, major enzymes that are helping in this particular process. So what happens, this helicase enzyme, let's say it is actually placed here just for representation. Okay, so this is our helicase enzyme. And what helicase does is basically it separates the DNA strands. It breaks the bond and it is going to separate the DNA strands, thereby opening it up. Now, as I said, because the DNA are supercoiled, when we open it up, there is going to be a lot of torsional strain, right? The two DNA is going to be intertwined, and we open it up. There, on one side, as I showed now, is going to having a lot of strain. And to reduce the torsional strain, these additional enzyme, right? These additional enzyme that is called the topoisomerase. Okay, the topoisomerase that is going to be acting here. And what topoisomerase does? The topoisomerase, they reduce the torsional strain. that is placed because of opening of this DNA. So when we open the DNA, there is going to be a lot of torsional strain, and that is going to be released by the topoisomerase. What it does is basically cuts the DNA, open it up, and again joins the DNA so that the strain is actually reduced. Now there is another enzyme that is not enzyme, actually it is a non-enzyme component, and it's a protein, and it is called single strand binding protein. Okay, or in simple it is called SSB protein. Now when the DNA strands are separated, right, what happens is they need to be stabilized, and to stabilize the DNA we have this additional protein non-enzymatic structure, and these are called the SSB protein. Are you able to follow me? Are you able to understand what am I speaking here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So what we're trying to understand is how the DNA opens up and what are the enzymes that are actually associated. So I'll just quickly summarize. We are having three different structures here. One is going to be helicase. Helicase is going to cut the DNA molecules and separate it out to stabilize or to reduce the torsional strain that is produced because of this unwinding of DNA. We can say, right? Helicase actually is helping unwinding of DNA. That also you can write. Unwinding of DNA. So once the DNA is unwinded, there is going to be strain produced, and that strain is released by the topoisomerase. And once we have the topoisomerase, the strain is released. But again, to stabilize the single strand, we have the SSB protein. So it is going to SSB protein. What is the role? Stabilize. It is always going to bind the single strand. Stabilize the single strand of DNA. So are you clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine, good.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on and understand the next step. So first step, we have the double-stranded DNA, and then there is a formation of a replication fork, and by forming the replication fork, we have given access to the DNA replication machineries to actually come and bind and start their work. And this is possible with the help of three different components: topoisomerase, helicase, and single strand binding protein. Now another thing that you can keep in mind is these two enzymes work in case of bacteria is done by an enzyme called DNA gyrase, and DNA gyrase you see in case of the prokaryotes. It is seen in case of prokaryotes. Basically it is going to perform the role of both topoisomerase and helicase. Now with that, let us move and understand how this entire thing is going to go on. So I have a question for you all now. Try to answer that. So you see one strand here that is 5 prime to 3 prime, and another strand you see here is 3 prime to 5 prime. And we have learned that there is a specific orientation of the DNA polymerase to polymerize the new strand of DNA. Agree? So now the question is, if the two strands are opposite, they here what happens? The strands here are anti-parallel. Agree? The strands are anti-parallel. So can we have the DNA synthesis in both the strand in the same fashion, in the same direction? Is it possible or not? Did you understand my
No,
question?
sir, it should be opposite, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, I'll repeat my question. So what I'm saying is we're going to have two strands which are anti-parallel in nature. So one in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction, and other strand is 3 prime to 5 prime direction. Now we have already learned that when we are having the DNA, it is going to polymerize the new strand. DNA polymerase is going to polymerize the new strand in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction only. It is a specific orientation, right? So if it has to be 5 prime to 3 prime orientation, what I'm asking now is it that both the strands will have the polymerization of the new strand in the same direction or in something else? Will it occur in the same direction? Can we have a continuous synthesis of the DNA strand or not?
No, sir, they would be
No,
opposite.
sir.
They'll be opposite. So what will happen is, in one strand we are going to have a continuous synthesis, and in another strand we may not have that. We may not have a continuous strand of DNA. So let's understand that anyway. So I'm going to now remove some of the components from here itself to save time, and then continue our understanding. I hope you have been clear till now what I'm trying to explain.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Anywhere, if you have any problem, please stop me and ask. Okay, no problem. So let's continue. Wait, yeah. So when we have the DNA molecule opened like this, the first thing that is going to happen is there is going to be an addition, right? If I may write, of RNA primer. Okay, so we are going to add a primer. Where? Now, primer also is going to be added in the, that is going to be added in the 5' to 3' direction. So at one of the end, so we are going to have the primer. Let me put the primer here. So let's say, right. So this green one here is the RNA primer, and this is added with the help of enzyme. The enzyme involved is called the primase. So this primase, it actually comes and adds an RNA primer with the AUCG component, right? Not ATCG, AUCG component, and it is going to add a small RNA primer in one end of the DNA when it is opened. 3' end it is going to place. Now, when you're going to have the RNA primer, of course, it is going to base pair with the existing DNA molecule, right? So here we have the base pairing going on. Now, once you have the RNA primer attached here, then what will happen is the DNA polymerase, right? So once you have the RNA polymerase attached, now what happens is DNA polymerizes or synthesizes the new strand. So now we are going to get our new strand. Now, as we said, the synthesis will take place from which direction? 5' to 3'. Now, if we are talking about 5' to 3' direction of synthesis, the template DNA, what should be its orientation? So I'll repeat my question. What I was trying to ask is, if we are going to have the DNA synthesized in the 5' to 3' direction, what is going to be the template's DNA orientation that I'm asking? It is going to be anti-parallel, so it is going to be opposite. So as you can see here, this is our 5' and this is our 3' end. So this is the template DNA. Now, because the DNA is going to be polymerized in 5' to 3' direction, here the DNA polymerase is going to come and bind, and it is going to synthesize the new DNA strand from the 5'. This is going to be what? 5' end, and this is going to form the 3' end. So here the new DNA strand is going to be produced. Okay, so here the new strand is going to be produced. Anyway, so we have the RNA primer added first, followed by the enzyme, that is DNA polymerase, coming and polymerizing the new strand from 5' to 3' end. Now, on this side it is all right, but if you see here, the opposite strand, we have an orientation of what? In this side, 3' to 5'. And when we are going to have 3' to 5', problem is we cannot have the DNA synthesized in the same manner as we had here. So instead what happens is, here again the primer is going to be added. Okay, so here is our primer, and this is our 5' end, and here the synthesis goes on again from 5' to 3 prime end only. But as you can see here, right, as you can see here, the synthesis of this new strand is going to be from 5 prime to 3 prime end. Now, once the process continues, it is going to open again. So let us make another diagram quickly and understand that. So quickly, I'm going to draw this again, and let's see. Okay. So here what we have drawn is, let's quickly make it. So this is our primer, and we got our new strand of DNA. Okay. And here what is going to happen is, so 5 prime, 3 prime, 5 prime, 3 prime. So here, this is our new strand. So the new strand here polymerized in 5 prime to 3 prime direction. And on this side also, what is going to happen? Let us see quickly. So this is our 5 prime end. This is our 3 prime end. So here, if you see from here, we had one already strand that is formed. We have a primer here, and we have the new strand synthesized. So again, we have the 5 prime to 3 prime orientation here. So 1, 2, 3, and then we have the new strand. Clear. Now, as you can see, as the DNA is getting opened again and again, the space here increase, and because of that, again, there is going to be a new primer added. Okay. And again, we are going to have the polymerization in this direction. So again, 5 prime to 3 prime, and this process continues. So again, as the space is available, new strand, new primer, what you call primer is going to be added, and it's going to form the new strand. So what you see here is, in this particular part, when you're going to have the 5 prime to 3 prime direction, or the template is again a 5 prime to 3 prime. I think, did I write wrong? I think yes. So here we're going to have 5 prime to 3 prime orientation. Yes. So here the new strand is going to be continuous strand, whereas on this part, on this strand, these are called the fragment, or these are called the Okazaki fragments. Okay, and here it is going to be discontinuous. Is it visible or not? I think it is not very clear.
Yes,
Is it visible to your side? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
So to summarize, as we saw, when we are going to have the continuous synthesis in one strand, and in other one we are going to have a discontinuous synthesis of the new strand in fragments, and that is called Okazaki fragments. And now the new strand here is called the continuous strand, or it is called the leading strand, while this one is called the lagging strand. Now, why it is important? Because here the synthesis again going to go from 5 prime to 3 prime, but the template is going to be in a other orientation, and that is why here they are going to be produced in Okazaki fragments, and at a later point of time these RNA primers are going to be removed and DNA is going to be added, and finally with the help of another enzyme called the DNA ligase, that we are going to have the addition. We are going to join all these DNA fragments together.